Hello, universe. Welcome to my world. Picasso once famously said he started out as a painter, but then he became Picasso. And in a way, a similar thing can be said of Sting. He started out as a school teacher and then became Sting. I'm a big fan of Sting, and almost everyone who knows him would say the same thing. Something about him, he's grounded, he's modest, and he has a wonderful social conscience where he really cares about issues. I don't know if I've told you this, but my favorite song from Sting is actually from his Police era, from his last album with Police, when he sang the lead single of the album, Synchronicity. And it reminds me a lot of Bach organ fugues. Today, we're featuring a song from a Sting album from 1987. We're featuring the song Fragile. It's a very sensitive song with very powerful lyrics, and Sting wrote it after the unnecessary death of a journalist, where he's regretting what human nature is all about and what we are like as human beings. Many different singers have honored this song with a cover. And let's start by hearing something as an introduction. We're first going to hear Peter Manner, and then we're going to Germany to visit Chiara Kilching, and they both do a very heartfelt acoustic version.
If blood will flow, with flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away. Something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to cleanse the lifetime's argument that nothing comes from violence, nothing ever could. For all those born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. On and on, the rain will fall like tears from a star, like tears from a star.
If blood will flow when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away, but something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to cleanse a lifetime's argument that nothing comes from violence and nothing ever could. For all those born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are.
Next, we're going to Belgium, and we're meeting Dunja. Something about her voice, not quite with the same power, but something about her voice reminds me a little bit of Celine Dion.
If blood'll flow when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away, but something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch a lifetime's argument that nothing comes from violence and nothing ever could. For all those born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. On and on the rain will fall.
Next, we're going to hear a couple of jazz performances. Niels Landgren is a Swedish trombonist, but when he sings, he has very rhythmic phrasing, which really puts a certain type of spin to the song. And then we're going to hear an English jazz singer, Julie Fordham.
If blood will flow and flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away. But something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch a lifetime's argument that nothing comes from violence and nothing ever could. For all is born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. On and on the rain will fall. If blood will flow when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away. But something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch our lifetime's argument that nothing comes from violence and nothing ever could. For all those born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. On and on the rain will fall.
Did I mention that I like fugues? This next performance reminds me of fugues, the way all of the melodies and harmonies are interwoven with each other. This is the King Singers. They're an ensemble originally out of Cambridge University.
If blood will flow when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away. Something in our minds will always stay. On and on the rain will fall like tears from a star, like tears from a star. On and on the rain will sing how fragile we are, how fragile we are.
Next, we're going to France and we're meeting Weekend. They're an electronic band. Their version is a cappella, maybe with a touch of bossa nova, but very original.
If blood will flow when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stain away. Something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch a lifetime's argument that nothing comes from violence and nothing ever could. For all the born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. On and on the rain will fall.
Next, we're going to hear from a couple of singers who were popular in the 60s and 70s. Dionne Warwick is very well known for the last 60 years. And Isaac Hayes shot to prominence in the 70s when he did the theme song from the movie Shaft. And Isaac Hayes' version really comes from the funk era.
If blood would flow when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away. Something in our hearts will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch a lifetime's argument. Nothing comes from violence and nothing ever could. For all those born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are.
Who is the man that would risk his neck for his brother, man? Can you dig it? Their blood will flow, and flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun. Tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away. Something in their minds, oh Lord, will always stay.
Next three versions we're going to hear are all duets. First one we're hearing from Esperanza Spalding. And there are a couple of remarkable things about this performance. One, she's doing a duet with Herbie Hancock, the famous jazz pianist. And she's also performing in front of Sting himself. He's in the audience at the Kennedy Center where he's being honored for his lifetime achievement.
His blood will flow, flesh and steel are one, drying in the colors of the evening sun. Tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away. Something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to cinch a lifetime's argument. Nothing comes from violence, and nothing ever could. For all those born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. On and on, the rain will fall.
The next two duets we will hear both feature Sting as one of the singers. But in both of them, he plays a secondary role. He only joins Julio Iglesias in the chorus, and the same with Stevie Wonder. With Julio Iglesias, he has a delightful vibrato when he sings. And also, when he sings, you can hear English is not his first language, which just adds an extra dimension. And as an example of Sting's modesty, he is only shaking out the rhythm when he's accompanying Stevie Wonder.
Blood will flow when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun. Tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away, but something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch a lifetime's argument that nothing comes from violence and nothing ever could. For all those born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. On and on the rain will fall, like tears from the star, like tears from the star.
Blood will flow, and flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun. Tomorrow's rain will wash the stain away, but something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to cleanse a lifetime's argument, and nothing comes from violence, and nothing ever could. For all those born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. On and on, the rain will fall like tears from the star, like tears from the star.
Next, we're going to hear Sting himself doing his original version. I've included the long guitar introduction because it actually adds to the mood and it's very evocative and it gives the lyrics extra momentum when you reach them. This is also a very good example of the advantage that the singer-songwriter has, where the music and the lyric match each other perfectly when they come from the same source.
Blood will flow, flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun. Tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away, but something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch a lifetime's argument. Nothing comes from violence, and nothing ever could. For all us born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are.
Finally, we've come to Angelina Jordan. She has a TikTok performance. Her baby cousin is sitting on her lap. There's several things which are very striking about this. Halfway through the song, her baby cousin looks up at her as if she's wondering, "Angelina, what are you singing to me? What is this noise that I'm hearing?" And Angelina, soon thereafter, gives her cousin an extra little squeeze during the performance and a kiss, neither of which interfere with Angelina's flow. But after the baby receives the kiss, she puts her hand where she received the kiss as if she wants to seal it in and make it permanent. And Angelina does a wonderful, jazzy, original version of this song as well. Of course, we all wish the song was a little bit longer. Her last 3 words, "on and on," she does in a spectacular fashion, but she only leaves us wanting more.
Blood will flow, flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun. Tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away, but something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch a lifetime's argument. Nothing comes from violence, and nothing ever could. For all was born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. On and on.
Now, normally at this point, I would be winding down the video towards the end, but if Sting is going to write profound, deep lyrics, I'm afraid we're going to have to react to them. And one of the lines in this song, "Lest we forget how fragile we are," which gives the song its title, is much too important for us to ignore. And that's where we're going now. Obviously, Angelina's baby cousin is in the video to highlight the fragility of babies and young children, and people generally. A wise man once said, in terms of our human fragility, people think our body is the strongest thing we own, when in fact it is the softest thing we own. And people do tend to treat their body as if it's a machine where you can replace all the parts. We can also say, in terms of physical fragility, how the unlimited mind is leading the limited body. And this actually has a parallel with Angelina Jordan, because for her we can say her unlimited talent is reaching a limited audience. And that's where the irony and the contradiction is, because her unlimited talent should be reaching an unlimited audience. And if we've been talking about physical fragility, also emotional fragility is very important. Let's highlight this. We're looking at some of the lyrics from a song that Angelina Jordan wrote herself, where she's singing,
Where did this all go wrong? So far from what we want. Be in my
Other quotes from the wise man: this lifetime is like running a marathon. If you run as hard as you can the first half, you have nothing left for the second half. And so, both with a marathon and with life, it's a matter of pacing yourself so that you're in there for the long run and you enjoy the second half of your life as much as the first. Big difference though. With a marathon, you know after 26 miles, you reach the finish line. But life does not have a finish line that we know about beforehand. There's even more reason to pace ourselves. And if our life is like running a marathon, so too is a long musical career like running a marathon. And if Angelina Jordan has another 60 or 70 years music career in front of her, maybe she needs to pace herself and not run as hard as she can as soon as she can. So maybe the decisions that she's making are the right decisions, where she's pacing herself for the long run. Think of it as if you're climbing Mount Everest. You don't try and get to the top as quickly as you can, but every few thousand feet, you establish a base camp where you consolidate your position before you go further up the mountain. And as we say, a low fire burns longest. And finally, in terms of the fragility, when you buy a new car, you have a manual in the glove compartment telling you how to look after it, how to service it, and what all the warning lights mean on the dashboard. How come with the human body, you don't have a manual that tells you how to look after the body properly and how you should take care of yourself? Actually, you do have a manual, and it is how you feel, not just whether you have pain or not just whether you feel bad or good after eating or drinking. It is the feeling that you have every minute of the day. And to bring it full circle, it is the feeling that you have when you listen to Angelina Jordan. And it is the feeling that gives quality to your life and which acts as a North Star for your guidance. Okay, gang, we will continue exploring all the variations in the world of Angelina Jordan. I'm out of here. I'll catch you later. Bye.